Coming up on Falcon Weekly, pushing for impeachment. See what Alabama lawmakers will try to do this week to remove Governor Robert Bentley from office.
And losing the personal touch, this Main Street business is making way for the city's new Taco Bell. See how these salon workers are handling the transition.
Managing migraine pain. Find out why doctors say an old therapeutic technique could be a new treatment for the painful medical condition.
And look out below, an iconic Atlanta building came crashing down yesterday morning. Find out how much dynamite was used to level the landmark that hundreds woke up to see one last time. Falcon Weekly starts right now.
Hello and welcome to Falcon Weekly. I'm Alex Tejada.
And I'm Brianna Rose. Thanks so much for joining us. Lawmakers in Alabama meet Tuesday to discuss whether the state's embattled governor should be impeached. Republican Robert Bentley is under fire after audio recordings from 2014 revealed him having sexually implicit conversations with former aide Rebecca Mason. Both Bentley and Mason deny having an affair. The Alabama House Ethics Committee will convene Tuesday morning to discuss moving forward with possible attempts to remove Bentley. Under Alabama law, the state house must bring forward articles of impeachment against Bentley. If that occurs, then the state Senate will serve as a jury to hear the case. Bentley has said he will not resign. President Trump has signed an updated executive order on travel that officials hope will avoid the uproar from last time around.
It contains some of the changes from the last order, which was struck down in courts. So what are lawmakers saying this time around? Diane Gallagher reports from Washington, D.C.
Call it Travel Ban 2.0, the revised version of that controversial executive order that prompted massive protests at airports and has been hung up in court ever since, was signed by the president in private today, a stark contrast from the fanfare that surrounded previous executive orders signed by the president. This time around, President Trump let his cabinet members do the talking.
Today's executive order, which President Trump signed this morning, will make America more secure and address long overdue concerns about the security of our immigration system.
Now, perhaps the biggest difference, restrictions affect travelers from 6 Muslim-majority countries now, not the original 7. Iraq has been dropped from the ban.
Iraq is an important ally in the fight to defeat ISIS.
Likely in part to avoid the chaos and confusion from the first time around, the new order goes into effect March 16th, not immediately like the original, and it expires after 90 days. It includes specific different language, stating the ban does not apply to green card and valid visa holders. It does not prioritize religious minorities in refugee admission cases, and no longer singles out refugees from Syria to be indefinitely banned. Admission for Syrians will, like all other refugees, be suspended for the next 120 days. Democrats aren't buying the changes.
It's still basically a Muslim ban. It's still a ban based on one's religion.
In Washington, Diane Gallagher.
While the president is hoping for a smoother rollout of his new travel ban, he stirred up controversy over the weekend when he accused the Obama administration of wiretapping Trump Tower during the election. President Trump offered no evidence to support his claim, but is calling on Congress to investigate it.
Today, the Supreme Court is refusing to hear a transgender bathroom case, instead sending it back to a lower court. The decision effectively voids the appeal court's original ruling that sided with Virginia student Gavin Grimm. He was fighting against a school policy that denied him access to the boys' bathroom. That judgment cited an Obama administration policy that instructed public schools to allow students to use whichever bathroom corresponds with their gender identity. Last month, the Trump administration withdrew that protection. Now the appeals court must decide whether federal law treats gender identity discrimination the same as sex discrimination. The case is unlikely to make it back to the Supreme Court during its current term. Yelp users will soon be able to sort businesses by bathrooms in addition to location, price, and reviews. The company announced a new feature that will tell users which businesses offer gender-neutral bathrooms. Yelp says bathrooms that offer a single locking stall and are available to any gender qualify to be included. Businesses can self-report the availability of these bathrooms, and customers can also indicate them. The company plans to have enough data on the bathrooms in a few weeks to enable search result filtering based on it. That means Yelp users will be able to search specifically for businesses that offer gender-neutral bathrooms. Yelp CEO has been a vocal critic of laws that force people to use bathrooms for genders they do not identify with.
Taco Bell will soon be serving its late-night snacks on Main Street in Montevallo. Many citizens and students are buzzing with excitement, but the owners and customers of Personal Touch Salon have a different feeling. Falcon Weekly's Elizabeth Reinert met up with the owner, who now, after being a decade in business, has less than a month to relocate.
We may be hitting the 10-year mark.
For most businesses, 10-year anniversaries are full of celebrations and excitement.
It's hard to believe it's been that long.
But the women at Personal Touch Salon can't help but feel sad.
We had 30 days to make other arrangements.
Located right in the heart of Montevallo, Personal Touch Salon's two hairstylists, Kathy Wright and Amy Vanderslice Hall, are no strangers.
She and I have been working together since '99, so we're like family.
But at the end of the month, their time as partners will be cut short.
We've developed a lot of relationships, and it's not just about money, you know. Being in a small town and seeing these people, the same people, every week, every month, you can't help but develop relationships.
In summer 2017, the building that houses Personal Touch Salon, along with Bradford Real Estate, will be torn down and replaced with the well-known restaurant franchise Taco Bell.
It honestly took us a good 3 days just to absorb the news. We were very, very devastated.
Fortunately, she will be able to work with her clients from home in a portable building on her property.
The majority of my clients have been fine with that. They're willing to come where I'm at, thank goodness.
And even though Kathy is having to close up the Main Street shop,
things happen, change happens. I know there's a lot of growth going on in this town, and that part's good.
She's finding the silver lining in a sad situation. Reporting for Falcon Weekly, I'm Elizabeth Reinhart.
Kathy's partner, Amy, was also available to find another job opportunity, and she will continue her career with another local hairstylist. City officials say the new Taco Bell could open as soon as late summer of this year. We've reached out to the mayor's office for a comment on this story, but were not able to schedule an interview before this week's newscast.
It was another full day of activities at the annual Bridge Crossing Jubilee in Selma yesterday. Thousands came to Alabama this weekend to reenact a key event in the civil rights movement. It's been 52 years since the march across the Edmund Pettus Bridge in Selma. On March 7, 1965, African Americans seeking the right to vote intended to march across the bridge to Montgomery, but they were attacked by police. The day became known as Bloody Sunday. The march is credited with later helping pass the Voting Rights Act of 1965.
A building once an Atlanta icon is now no more. The Georgia Archives building was imploded Sunday morning to make way for a new judicial building. The building, a unique structure with no windows, was built in the 60s, but has been vacant for 15 years due to structural issues caused by construction around it. It took more than 500 pounds of dynamite to bring down the landmark. A building that once held Georgia's history became a part of history.
It could take another 2 years to end the water crisis in Flint, Michigan. Mayor Karen Weaver wrote this week that the city will not be able to treat its drinking water until August 2019. In a letter to the EPA, the mayor said that's how long it would take to build a new water treatment plant. Flint's drinking water contained dangerous levels of lead after the city switched its water source 3 years ago. Emergency measures later lowered the lead levels, but residents are not using tap water for cooking or drinking yet, while the city is still working on its long-term water plan. Jay-Z is launching a new investment firm to help entrepreneurs.
His new venture capital firm is called Arrive. It will pour cash into young startups and advise them on brand and business development. It's unclear how many companies Arrive will invest in and how much money it will shell out. Jay-Z has experience growing a tech startup. He launched music streaming service Tidal after buying Swedish tech company Aspiro. In January, Sprint bought a third of the company for $200 million. Comic book film Logan is a worldwide smash. The dark action film opened #1 in 80 markets, hauling in $238 million worldwide. That means the R-rated film one of Fox's biggest international debuts ever. Here in the U.S., the film earned more than $85 million. Star Hugh Jackman has said he's hanging up his Wolverine claws after Logan. Patrick Stewart, who plays Professor X, has also announced he's retiring from the X-Men franchise. Meanwhile, Jordan Peele's race relations thriller Get Out took the #2 spot with $26.1 million. At #3, faith-based drama The Shack earned $16.1 million in its opening weekend. Beauty and the Beast star Emma Watson is responding to criticism surrounding revealing photos of her that appeared in Vanity Fair magazine. The photos were taken by fashion photographer Tim Walker, and some show her partially exposed breasts. Critics blasted the 26-year-old on social media, saying the photos contradict her views on feminism. But the Harry Potter star insists that feminism is about liberation, choice, and freedom. She defended the photos and called them interesting and beautiful.
Model Chrissy Teigen is opening up about her battle with postpartum depression and anxiety. The Lip Sync Battle host is sharing her story in an essay for an upcoming issue of Glamour magazine. Teigen explains she knew something was off after the birth of her daughter last April. She describes both the emotional turmoil and the physical pain that she went through. The Sports Illustrated swimsuit cover model also credits husband, singer John Legend, for supporting her. Teigen says she opened up about her struggle to help others going through the same thing. The April issue of Glamour magazine featuring her essay hits newsstands next Tuesday. More health organizations are urging medical professionals not to cut newborns' umbilical cords until about 30 to 60 seconds after birth. Traditionally, in the United States, the cord is clamped and cut immediately after birth in around 10 to 15 seconds. But that cord carries important nutrients and blood from mom to baby. Experts say in the first few minutes after birth, blood continues to circulate from the placenta to the child. Researchers say infants can benefit from this additional blood volume, especially those born prematurely.
A new study out of China may bring hope for migraine sufferers.
Thanks to the ancient Chinese practice, acupuncture. Reporter Kim Hutcherson has the latest in today's Health Minute.
More than 37 million Americans suffer from migraines. They aren't just headaches, they're a disorder that affects the brain. The pain can be intense and debilitating, and over-the-counter medications are often not enough. 91% of migraine sufferers say they miss work or can't function normally when they have an attack. Now, research out of China suggests that properly administered acupuncture may help reduce the frequency of migraines or even prevent them altogether. The results were published recently in the medical journal JAMA Internal Medicine. Participants had acupuncture sessions 5 times a week for a month. Researchers found that the average number of migraines dropped from 4.8 a month to 3 per month. This comports with the results of earlier studies on migraines and acupuncture. A 2012 study found that sufferers reported fewer and less intense migraines after 4 weeks of traditional acupuncture treatment. For today's Health Minute, I'm Kim Hutcherson.
Now let's take a look at Montevallo athletics and this week's Falcon Fever. First up, Montevallo softball opened Peach Belt Conference play this past weekend with 2 victories over Georgia Southwestern. The Falcons defeated the Hurricanes 13-3 and 9-5 in Saturday's doubleheader. After a midweek game against Birmingham Southern, Montevallo welcomes conference rivals North Georgia and Young Harris this weekend. Although Montevallo have played their last Peach Belt basketball game, 2 players have picked up postseason awards. Javante Douglas and Jamar Taylor were named first team and third team all Peach Belt Conference selections. Douglas led the conference in both scoring and rebounding per game. He scored in double figures in all 22 games he featured in this season. Taylor returns for his senior year after averaging 16.1 points this season. Montevallo women's track and field won the UAH Charger Invitational this past weekend. Women's tennis and lacrosse teams were beaten by nationally ranked opposition. Also, baseball won the opening game of the weekend series against Auburn Montgomery before losing the last 2. More on these stories and other scores are online at MontevaloFalcons.com. Professional soccer has a first Southern team in the form of Atlanta United. Yamil Assad made history by scoring the first goal in franchise history in front of a sold-out Bobby Dodd Stadium. Tyrone Mears assisted Assad in the 25th minute to give United the lead. However, New York Red Bulls would win the game 2-1 with a second-half comeback.
And if you needed your weekend dose of cute puppies, you've met your match. A pro tennis tournament in Brazil traded in their ball boys and girls for the best tennis ball fetchers of all, shelter dogs. 4 shelter dogs found their forever homes after their debut as ball boys at the Brazil Open Tennis Tournament last year. This past weekend, 6 dogs looking to be adopted as well showed off their ball fetching skills during 2 days of the tournament. The dogs were specially trained for the event, even though some would argue their retrieving skills come naturally.
Grab a glass of milk.
Today is National Oreo Cookie Day. The National Biscuit Company first developed the Oreo in 1912. Back then it was called the Oreo Biscuit. It's gone through several name changes over the years, including the Oreo Sandwich and Oreo Cream Sandwich. Today there are dozens of varieties of Oreos. They are sold in more than 100 countries. I wish I had a glass of milk. I'd enjoy me some cookies right now.
Yeah, they've made so many different types of Oreos over the years, and so many of them are so successful that you can't argue with the sales.
Nope, I think I'm going to have me some when I get home.
Definitely.
Remember, there's more news online 24/7. Just search for UM Falcon Weekly on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram to see more stories and news updates throughout the week. And we're just 25 likes away from 1,000 likes on Facebook, so be sure to spread the word about Falcon Weekly. And that's all the time we have for this week's show. Thank you so much for joining us.
For more UM news from MassComm student reporters, be sure to check out the Falcon News Network blog. The website address is on your screen. We'll see you again next week.